up-and-comers of Hollywood. I'm your host, Marie Finch, and today's guest is none other than Jasmine Pears. She is an executive assistant for a studio here in Los Angeles. I'm so glad that you're here today to talk to our viewers about what it takes to be an executive assistant and to learn about your journey.
Yes, I'm excited to be here. Hopefully my knowledge can be passed on, and other people who do want to come in the industry, hopefully this will help them.
Tell our viewers, where are you from and how did you come to Los Angeles?
Yes, so I'm originally from a small town in Northern California, about an hour or two south of Lake Tahoe. I came to LA for college. I went to CSUN in the Valley, and I always knew I wanted to be in TV and film ever since I was really little, and watching movies with my family. It was always a big thing. From a young age, I did know I always wanted to be in the industry, even though where I grew up, there was no one in the industry. No one really talked about celebrities or having a job in the industry was even a thing. But I don't know, for some reason I was always really interested in TV and film because I watched so much of it growing up, and I just knew LA is the place to be if you want to be in TV or film. Nowadays you could also go to the South, like Atlanta has a lot of studios, but 10 years ago I feel like if you were going to be in TV, LA was the spot to go to. And I was already in Northern California, so I knew eventually I had to make my way down to LA, so I did. I went to college at Cal State Northridge, graduated with a TV and film degree, did a lot of internships in college, and just started working and getting jobs in the industry.
So your bio, I read it and it's amazing. You went a different route. So you said you interned while you were in college.
Yes.
So what type of internship jobs did you have during college?
I feel like I came to LA being one of those people that says I will work for free and take anything as long as it's on set. So my internships definitely were that. I interned for a show in the art department. So I did a lot of work on set and prep, production, and then post-production you gotta strip everything down. Worked with the prop master a lot, so I learned a lot on set because originally I did think I was going to be an assistant director. So being on set was the main focus that I wanted to do at that time. And then after that, I feel like any young college kid, you're just taking PA jobs on set. So just a lot of production assistant jobs. I did workout videos and music videos. So any job that would allow you to be on set, to just see the industry as a whole. I just said yes to people who I knew that were working on big productions just to get behind the scenes and see how each set works. Last semester of college, actually, I worked for a film producer in development. He had his own production company, so I was interning for him. And then after I graduated, luckily, he just hired me on as his executive assistant. That's what kind of got me started in the film development side. Okay, so then after working for the film producer, I started working for a visual effects studio. So they worked on a lot of Marvel movies, a lot of action movies, sci-fi movies, which was really cool to actually see the behind the scenes and the mocap stage and everything they used to create characters like Thanos and all that. While I was in that job, one of my good friends started assisting a celebrity. And I always knew it was just one of those things you heard people talk about, like you need to join talent management or you need to join an agency to get to a studio. I was like, okay, those kind of have to be my next steps. My friend started working for celebrity and said, Jasmine, have you ever thought of being in talent management? And I really had no idea that was a job to work for celebrities, let alone help them with their day-to-day. And so she kind of piqued my interest in that. And that's where I hopped into working in talent management. I would work for A-list stars, managers, as well as them directly. And yeah, that went on for a couple of years. I think there was just this pivotal point where I said, I don't want to keep working directly for talent. I think it's a great job, and I think that any person who is very organized and loves to travel, work under someone that closely at such a high caliber should definitely do it. But at the point in my life, I always knew I wanted to be behind the scenes. I knew I wanted to read scripts and work at a bigger company. I knew I needed to pivot back to a studio, and that's what I did.
And so now you work for a studio in adult animation?
Yes, so now I work at a studio in television, specifically adult animation in development.
You did a lot of PA work while you were in college.
Yes, I did a lot of PA work because I always knew I wanted to work at a network or studio, and you have to have a good resume, and a lot of them do want you to have on-set experience. So I just knew that any on-set experience would be beneficial to me.
Really versatile, because I saw that you were a PA on a Chris Brown video shoot,
Yes.
a commercial,
Yes.
a Kevin Hart. You were in the art department for Kevin Hart's Oscars.
Oh yes,
Party?
I did help set up Kevin Hart's after Oscar party, and it was really fun.
Talent. That must have been exciting, being able to travel and meet different celebrities.
Yes.
You were always around that, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are the challenges of being an executive assistant for a talent, opposed to what you're doing now, an executive assistant for the studio?
For an executive.
Yes.
Being an assistant to a celebrity is very different than being an assistant to an executive at a studio. There are many things that do correlate. I do find that because I was an executive assistant for talent, that it makes my life as being an executive assistant to an executive at a studio easier. Some things in the jobs are similar as far as scheduling or setting meetings, but both jobs are very different. If you want to work for talent in the entertainment world, you have to know yourself as well as who you're working for. You have to know yourself because you have to stay grounded in any situation, because you are this person's backbone. You have to know them so well that you can tell them what they're going to do 2, 3, 4, 5 steps before they know what they're going to do. And if something at any moment has to change, you have to be that person that says, this is what's going to happen at this time and for this reason, and run with it. So I think that knowing yourself as far as knowing your strengths is really important, because you can use those strengths to benefit both of you, and knowing the talent so well that they're not getting frustrated with you because you should have already known their favorite color or their favorite flower or whatever it is that they want you to know, because you get that personal. You're with them all the time. You should know everything there is to know about them. So I think that's way different than working at a studio. Obviously, you know your boss and you do the same thing. Okay, she's going to want this lunch with this person, but it's not as personal.
In order did you become an executive assistant? Do they have to become a personal assistant first?
It honestly varies person to person. Some people, and I'll say people because it's not just celebrities, it's managers, it's artists, whoever in the entertainment industry. It literally depends on their preference. I've been with people who have a personal assistant running errands, taking care of the dry cleaner, like more personal stuff. An executive assistant handles more big picture, fashion lines, makeup brands, meetings, setting studio calls, the business side. I've also seen people where it crosses over. So you could do a little bit of both. You even see people who have chiefs of staff who run the other assistants and gives them the guidelines. So every person handles their staff completely different. So I wouldn't say, oh, you need to be in a personal assistant to get executive assistant. It doesn't hurt to know how to do more things, but you don't have to take one way versus the other.
So how would someone find a job like that?
If you do want to find a job in this industry that is specifically working with talent or managers, there are hiring agencies that will, run your resume, run a background check, and hire you to work with specific talent. I didn't go that route. I kind of stumbled upon this world through a random job posting. But most of the time, you do need to go through an agency.
What skills would it take for someone to work with talent as an executive assistant?
I would say the top skills would be strong management skills. You also need to have good leadership skills. You need to be extremely good at communication. You also really need to be adaptable and flexible, because not one day is the same, not 1 hour is the same hour. Anything can change in a minute. And you also have to work really, really well under pressure, because these people the reason they are at where they are at is because they don't stop. And so you have to be good at working under pressure in fast environments and keeping your cool. Because if you lose your cool, the whole house is going to come crashing down. You know, I'm very organized. I'm an arranger. Even if it's my normal day-to-day tasks at home, I'm making lists. If I'm packing for a trip or vacation, I'm making a list. So I'm naturally very organized. The job just worked well for me because I like organizing myself. Therefore, I'm good at organizing other people. I'm also not afraid to give advice. There's a lot of yes men, and they don't want yes men. Like, you need to be honest in a nice way, but you need to be honest.
As an assistant to talent, like you were, what would that day look like? I'm curious. What would a day look like working for a talent?
Every day is very busy. You know, when you're working for talent, they are constantly going. I would say if this was a normal day where we weren't traveling, I would show up around 6 o'clock, hours broken up into have, you know, meetings, social media, brands that need videos. Maybe she has an interview with a news channel that day. Sometimes they need to promote things, so you're getting all that footage. You have fashion line meetings, beauty line meetings. If they're planning a trip or travel, you're working on that. And so I think that just somehow it takes up a lot of the day. And then you're probably not out of there. Again, this is me personally, everyone's different, but usually you're not out of there till 10 p.m., 11 p.m. And then you go back again and it's a new day. I will say the most busiest I feel like I've been is there was one period for 2 months where we were traveling nonstop, and I was literally living out of my luggage and sleeping on a plane. And it was a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, but you're a busy person. You're, you know, constantly going, constantly at appearances, doing everything they're doing, so it does keep you busy.
What does your day look like as an executive assistant for a studio?
I'm an executive assistant at a studio in the creative department, specifically development. So being an executive assistant at a studio for an executive is a VP and above, so SVP, EVP, anything in that range. My day-to-day is usually scheduling meetings, scheduling pitch calls. They take a lot of general meetings. You read a lot of scripts. You discuss the scripts and notes and watch cuts, anything that comes in from our shows, and just making sure everything is running smoothly for my executive. You don't want to overlap meetings. You also don't want to overschedule your executive, because then they'll get burnt out, because they'll be like, I'm back to back to back to back, and now I have to run to a lunch. Like, you need to give them time to breathe. This is also what helped working for talent, because you have to know who you're working for. That's very important. You have to know how your boss works and what works for them, and what works for one boss may not work for your second boss. So being able to figure that out early on will definitely help you set up for success later down the line.
Oh, excellent. That's an excellent explanation, Jasmine.
Thank you.
Also, I'm thinking you must know the organization really well.
One thing that I learned that they didn't teach me in college was what actually goes on at a studio. I feel like a lot of people know production companies because they're in the nitty-gritty of writing the scripts and have the writers and are on set and making the show happen. At a studio, as they're not on set every day with the producers and working in the nitty-gritty, it's a higher level overview look at a show or film. In college, I didn't know the difference. So now, working at a studio, I'm learning that there's so many departments, so many people, and that you had no idea that was even a job within the industry. You could work in the industry and kind of be anything you want, right? There's lawyers who are in our business affairs and legal department. There's accountants who are helping with budgets and finance, and marketing people, publicity people. You have an HR team. So I think that, yes, once you join a studio, learning everything there is to know about the studio as a whole, not just your department, is very beneficial. Like that would be really good for you.
At what point or age in your life did you decide or knew that you wanted to work in the entertainment industry?
Oh man, I think weirdly, I think I've always known since I was really little. I always loved to put on plays with my sister, and that was a start of it. I grew up dancing and on stage and in theater a lot. So that was also part of it. And just watching the Oscars with my parents every year and watching movies with my dad a lot. He's a big movie buff. So I always think it was a part of me. I think when I hit middle school, something clicked and I was like, oh, I can make this a career. I don't think, it takes you a while. You don't know what you're going to be when you grow up. And I think knowing that this was always something that piqued my interest. And then when it realized, wait, I can continue to do this and be creative the rest of my life, is that aha moment. And ever since then, I think I just ran with it and just started learning more about the different jobs within this industry. And when I learned, oh wait, you also just don't need to be an actor, you can be behind the scenes. That's when I knew, okay, I want to be behind the scenes. I want to work in the entertainment industry. I just have to figure out specifically what I want to do, but I always knew at a young age I wanted to work in entertainment.
So Jasmine, what are some of the successes that you feel like you've had in this career?
I feel that every day I wake up and get to go to a studio lot is a success for me, because if I could talk to my childhood self right now and told her everything I've experienced and where I'm at today, she would not believe me. So I think that every day I get to go to work and work on the shows I get to work on is a huge success. There's still things that I obviously want to achieve and still things and goals I have for myself. But right now, I can honestly sit back and just say how proud I am of myself and everything I've accomplished. So yeah, I think every day is a success, and I think everyone should feel that way no matter where they're at in their life, because it's all like a process, right? I tell myself it's progress, not perfection. So waking up every day and doing the little things, that's just one step closer to getting you to where you want to get to, and I think that is a successful day.
What was your perception of Los Angeles before you got here?
I didn't have high expectations that, oh my God, it's going to be this amazing place and I'm going to shine and be a star. But I also didn't think negatively of it. In my mind, I just knew LA is where I had to be successful in what I want to do. So I have to make it work. That's just what came to my mind when I thought of LA.
And what's the reality for you?
Okay, I will say this. When I first came to LA, it was bittersweet because I did miss being home, but I knew LA is where I had to be. And so it was kind of this tug of war thing between me and like my old self. But after a while, I realized how much LA has to offer and how much good there is in LA that I came to terms with it. But I will say a turning moment for me, because I lived in LA for like 5 years and I still was kind of like, okay, it's LA, I have to be here for work. But then when I got a job that took me outside of LA and I was never in LA, I missed it. Something in me was like, oh my gosh, wait, I miss the beach, I miss the hiking, I miss the sun, I miss, being able to go downtown and have one vibe and go to Santa Monica and have another vibe. Like, I missed LA for once. And after that, I was like, I'm not going to leave. Like, I want to come back. And that's what I did. And now I see this being my home. I couldn't imagine leaving.
Well, Jasmine, I am so excited and honored that you're here. And I'm so glad you were able to share your journey with the viewers for some of those folks who want to go in that same direction or just didn't think about this career path. And it sounds like Jasmine isn't ending here. It sounds like she's got some other things she's thinking about in the future. So
I do, so keep an eye out for me.
Okay, we will do that because we are up and comers here of Hollywood. So we're going to be following you, Jasmine. I really love you being here and talking about everything that you had to share. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I think that having a podcast like this would have been helpful when I was younger. So I think that having this now and people that are interested in coming in the industry, or even people who are already here and are just trying to learn more, I think this is super helpful. So I think it's great that you have this podcast.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And with that, go after your dream. Go get it. Go visit some people, network with some people, but most of all, stay kind.
Yes.
Bye-bye.